What happens if you fall out of status? If you're out of status, well, there's Nunc Pro Tunc, which means now for then. It essentially just means retroactively. You're just doing it now, what you should have done earlier. As you can imagine, if the legal system allowed everybody to do things retroactively, the whole system will break down. And so, obviously, it is very, very strict. Only under the most urgent circumstances will USCIS allow you to do things later, what you should have done now, or the other way around. So AILA put together an amazing group of panelists to share about this very subject. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Tsang Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. And the legal problem is that some people have fallen out of status. Maybe you were here on an international student visa and then now you fell out of status. Or you were here on a tourist visa and because of COVID, you couldn't get back, right? You didn't do an extension of status on time. Or you didn't do a change of status on time. Or maybe you were a spouse of somebody else who was an invalid visa and somehow the attorney helped them do a change of status, but they forgot about their family, and so now you are out of status. So whatever the situation, you should have done something. You should have filed a change of status or an extension, but you didn't, and you need to do it now, and you're begging the government to allow you to do later what you should have done then. That's Nunc Pro Tunc. So here are 3 key takeaways. The first one, and they mentioned this in the very, very end, but if an attorney made a mistake, that might qualify as a Nunc Pro Tunc exception. If the attorney admits it, if they're able to write and plead on your behalf, well, there's this whole other case law, Matter Lozetta. We could go into that on a separate topic, but essentially, that is what allows USCIS to excuse the beneficiary, to excuse the applicant. Well, if you trusted your attorney and the attorney made a mistake and you technically should sue them, but you didn't, then you just want this thing done that should have been so simple, well, maybe we'll excuse it. The second major thing is that there's a key difference between a change of status and an extension of status. When you need to do an extension of status later on, when you should have done it earlier, USCIS could backdate your approval date. So which means it covers the entire duration of the time that you should have applied, but you didn't. When you do a change of status, going from one status, like for example, if you're an international student, to an H-1B, for example, or an L-1, for example, and there's a gap missing, even if USCIS accepts this late filing and approves it because of circumstances way beyond your control, well, that period of gap, they will not cover it. Which just means you are allowed to continue to stay, but later on, if you need a visa, if you need to do an adjustment of status, there might be unlawful presence that still lurks in your application, which bar you from future benefits later on. So there's a key distinction between a change of status or an extension of status. And the third key takeaway is you might not need to file this Nunc Pro Tunc application because maybe another government agency is able to cure this defect. Maybe CBP made a mistake, or maybe the consulate can help you fix it. So maybe another government entity is able to cure this out of status situation, give you the new I-94, and then when you finally file with USCIS, well, you are in perfect standing. But fundamentally, these type of applications are extremely difficult. If it's a well-known problem, like an H-1B dependent that just got left out in the application, USCIS have provided memos on that they recognize that's a problem. So oftentimes if you use those memos, you can successfully get the application approved even though there's a huge gap. Or if it's an international problem like COVID, B1, B2 extensions, filing again and again, USCIS might approve the case even if you don't argue the Nunc Pro Tunc, right? So if common sense tells you that this situation should be leniently, graciously approved, well then chances are it might be. But if you're just privileged and you want to do things late, the government might not accept it. So those are key takeaways. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can watch the entire thing on AILA Agora. Take care. See you next session.